Hello there. It's not Brexit UK at the bottom of the economic pile. Take a look at Germany right now. Much of the press and all those Ramonas out there are constantly harping on about how badly the UK economy is doing. Always looking for bad news about the UK to make themselves feel happier. Because every little downturn here is used as an argument to have another EU referendum and shoehorn us back into the European Union. But not all is sweetness and light in the EU, especially in the Eurozone. Because the EU's engine room, Germany, is not faring well at the moment. The EU Commission says in its economic forecast for Germany that its economy will shrink this year, and the Eurozone will slow down too, all caused by higher inflation and rising interest rates. Germany is set for a prolonged recession this year, the only major European economy to experience an economic contraction during 2023, reports CNBC. And the FT reports from Germany that everything is tired here, saying that gloom is spreading and that employers face higher energy costs and a labour force that works the fewest hours in the OECD. Even the UK is ahead of them, with Switzerland, France, Austria, the Netherlands, Denmark and Germany in order below us. Germany, from economic powerhouse to one of the worst performers, it seems. And get this, companies have been upping sticks and moving out to pastures new. Germany is being hollowed out, and it is the central industrial base of the EU. And it seems that Asia and the US are their destinations. So if German firms are heading out, what does that tell you about the Eurozone and the EU? Even the UK appears to offer competitive advantages despite Brexit, with one firm, Hella, planning to expand its Redditch site, for example. So when Ramonas bleat on about how great the EU is, point to Germany and ask them to check out its economy. Labour shortages, despite being at the centre of freedom of movement for workers and all that mass inward migration. Why no workers? They've been hit by global supply chain problems and barriers to trade. Sound familiar? Then they also complain about bureaucracy, as well as a lack of investment in their infrastructure. And as you can see from this graph of total German industrial production from 2012 to 2023, the rot started back in 2018, not helped by the pandemic, of course. The thick black line indicates the index baseline of 100 based on 2015. With the German statistics body, Distasis, saying that production was down 0.8% month-on-month in July and 1.9% lower in the 3 months May to July compared to the previous 3 months. And German exports to China have fallen. But it looks like Chinese electric vehicle manufacturers stand to make bumper sales across the EU. More headwinds for German manufacturing. But further, both UK and EU car makers say they stand to make huge losses if the trade tariffs slapped on car makers selling their wares who use too many non-EU or non-UK car parts comes into effect at the end of the year. And they both want the tariffs delayed until such time as they have all the battery hubs and component manufacturing in place to meet the rules and so avoid the tariffs altogether. But France says no. Macron wants to slap the tariffs as planned on UK car makers that don't meet the rules, despite European car makers saying that they stand to lose about 3.7 billion quid and cut electric vehicle production by 500,000 unless the tariffs are delayed, with German car makers most at risk. But it seems that maybe Macron will gladly let the German car industry take that hit, as long as France can become a massive European hub for battery production. Nice to have friends, isn't it? While a BMW spokesman is quoted in the Telegraph as saying, "This legislation affects the entire industry and we, like all manufacturers, hope that a successful compromise can be reached as regards this issue." And the CEO of the Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders, Mike Hawes, said that these new rules will pose significant challenges to car makers both sides of the English Channel, and it would raise prices, so putting customers off buying the very things the government wants us to buy. And further, that the industry needs a pragmatic solution now, and that it is perfectly possible to do so within the framework of the Brexit Trade and Cooperation Agreement. But whatever they do, those batteries and cars will always be far more expensive than those made by the Chinese. Hence why the EU Commission is launching an anti-subsidy investigation into Chinese electric car maker subsidies. Global markets are now flooded with cheaper Chinese electric cars. The EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said in her annual State of the Union address, and their prices kept artificially low by huge state subsidies. This is distorting our market. With Politico.eu reporting that it's a step that risks snowballing into a trade war that could make a tussle over solar panels with Beijing a decade ago look like a tea party. And as I said, the German car manufacturing sector appears to be the one most at risk here. No wonder Germany is in a fit of gloom right now. Anyway, going green might be about to lose us jobs in the UK. The UK government wants the Tata steel mill in Port Talbot to go green. This means converting the blast furnaces from the traditional coal-fired type into electric arc furnaces. And the taxpayer will inject £500 million into the project. But these green furnaces require far fewer people to operate them, with the upshot being that 3,000 people could lose their jobs in an already employment-challenged area. And the Shadow Business Secretary, Jonathan Reynolds, said it seems that the government was planning to spend £500 million to sack 3,000 people, adding that, "We want green steel, but there are ways to do that, and there are ways to do that which makes it an incredibly positive story for the UK, but we are not getting that at the minute." And the unions are also worried. They've said they've not been party to any negotiations and that some of the things they hear in the press have been frightening. It's all part of the progress towards net zero. But isn't it funny how people champion net zero and say we must do it at all and any cost, etc. But the zealotry appears to falter when individuals are affected. And my question is, weren't we told that there would be a huge demand for workers in our new greener economy? Isn't there a manufacturer out there willing to start a net zero enterprise in that area where there are so many hard-working people available? Or will it just come down to enhanced redundancy checks all round and little hope? Net zero jobs, in fact.